to Mr. Ricky Glore. Here he is.
Hello. Hey. How many people out there tonight are proud of something that has happened recently?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to hear what it is. No, is anything specific that has happened that somebody's proud of? Anybody celebrate anything? Not even an optimist in the house is doing, just happy to be alive. Oh, okay. What David did mention is I have 3 children. I have a 5-year-old daughter and twin 1-year-old boys at home. I am proud not to be at home right now. I'm so happy.
Gave you a 10, right? $6?
No, somebody was, we were talking about like New Year's resolutions. We were talking about what they want to be proud of in the future as a resolution. Something like
A bourbon with a splash of Sprite.
we are never talking about things that things are proud of now. And I am so proud that my 3rd child, my daughter, is 5 years old and is no longer
Crown's
in
fine.
diaper phase.
Yeah.
With
Please?
twin
Yeah.
1-year-old boys, it's just a shit factory every day. Like our export is poop, our import is stuff that is kind of looks like poop. Then we put it in the house. The import and export very similar but very different. I am so proud that I remember that my daughter, the first time that she pooped in a potty by herself. I got to experience that myself. It was just me and her alone. And
Thank you.
she went into the bathroom.
Sure.
and used
I'll
her
rip it
little
out. Thanks.
tiny
I'll just grab one of these little guys. He'll be fine. Thank you.
Came into the living room and she's like, Daddy, I pooped all myself. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, come look. And so, pantsless, I'm following. Not me, I'm not pantsless. She's pantsless. And I'm following her. And I think it was the greatest acting that has ever been done because she's proud of what she's done. I am very proud of her too until I see the size of the turd in the potty. And I don't want to make her concerned like I am internally. But so like I'm following the naked 2-year-old into the bathroom like Rocky, like going into the ring. Like yeah, you did poo! Oh my goodness. I'm so proud. I'm going to take a picture of this. And because I am so proud, I am going to text my parents and the in-laws this picture to show them what you have done. And she's there just like fist pumping, like, and I'm just like, oh my God. It was like, hey, look at this. And I sent it to my mom and dad, Granny and Papaw, and then Papu in Florida. And they get it, and my father-in-law was the first one to respond. And he just sends back, ha ha ha, Ricky, we don't need to see pictures of your poop. To which I responded in all caps, not mine, Anna's. To which then he very quickly responded, Justin, with an emoji that was. And then I wrote back in all caps, I know. What should I do? Because I'm worried, like, I mean, she's there dancing and everything, like, she's in one piece still. Like, I don't think you guys understand the size of this dump. Like, it was, I know you just hate, and that may be gross, but, like, as a parent, it was the first time that, like, I was, like, alone with her and worried that I broke her or something. Like, it's a baby's arm just laying there. And so I'm waiting for the response of, the people who've parented before, who've already played the game. And my dad is the first one who responds, and he comes back with, first thing is dump it in the toilet. And so I did that, and I said, did that, what's next? And he said, next thing, take a picture of it in the regular toilet. And I took a picture of it, and I said, sent it, and I said, yes, what's next? He said, OMG, I don't know, I just needed to see it to scale. Good luck. I like to tell a pooping story right off the bat. Our house is crazy. Like, our house is a circus with having the twin one-year-old boys who are now mobile on their own, and a 5-year-old daughter who, everyone's always like, oh, the boys, they keep your hands full. And we're like, no, it's the 5-year-old terror that we've checked her hair for 6s. Like, she's the one that's the issue. And everyone's just like, if you've ever heard a parent say or a teacher say, oh, your child, that child's spirited, they have a lot of energy, and that's just code word for asshole. You have an asshole for a kid. I'm sorry to say this, my daughter is kind of an asshole right now. She makes things more difficult. She's into lie things. But she's also brilliant and has zero idea, which is kind of where you want to keep it.
I'm so low hungry. I thought
She wrote a joke on New Year's Eve, and we were coming home, and she's sitting in the back seat, and we were just free verses, just saying good news, bad news, and saying silly things. And she said, Daddy, good news. And I said, what's the good news? And she said, I didn't crap my pants. And I said, yeah, what's the bad news? She's like, bad news, I'm wearing your pants. And I was like, that's what Daddy's gonna use that joke on stage, and it's gonna get the biggest laugh of the whole night. And make it look like Daddy doesn't know what he's doing. But no, she's brilliant, has no idea. She didn't then write a whole bunch of, she didn't write my next hour or anything after that. Everything after that was just good news, there's even more poop. Bad news, more poop. It didn't get it topped out there. But she's so smart. She's scared. She loves Halloween stuff. She's big into Halloween, but she also has nightmares. We don't show her anything inappropriate. We're not showing her The Exorcist and being good night, deal with it. But she likes just, Count Chocula, just Frankenstein, anything that is Halloween witches, she loves. So we took her to a kid-friendly haunted house this year. And afterwards, we're like, what did you think of it? She's like, oh, I loved it. I do have a question. Can I ask a question? She always asks if she can ask a question before she asks the question. Almost like she's a little journalist. She's like, can I ask a question? But I'm like, yeah, you can ask questions. She's like, we just went through a haunted house. And I was like, is that the question? I was like, yeah, we went through a haunted house. And she's like, well, can condos or apartments be haunted? And it was just I don't know where she's going with this. And I was like, yeah, I don't think haunting is a territorial thing of where unless something super tragic happens somewhere. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think ghosts would want to haunt condos or apartments. There's not enough space. And I was just like, yeah, that'd be way different if a ghost was in a condo or apartment. They would be like, boo! They would be like, move! And give me some room! The other thing that my daughter, with liking the scary stuff, though, she has the nightmares, but we've told her, they're not real. Those things aren't real. If you have a nightmare, just don't worry about it. If you wake up, go back back to sleep, go back to sleep. You have to go back to sleep. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. But one day she came downstairs and she was like, Daddy, I had a dream that turned into a nightmare about a mummy. And that mummy was chasing us throughout the house. And I said, yeah? And she's like, yeah, but I remembered what you said. Mummies aren't real. And what I should have done would have been like, yeah, mummies aren't real. I don't know why I had to correct her and be like, no, mummies are real. Like in Egypt, after everything I said, after mummies are real, she didn't hear. And she was just like, and so it took me some time to talk her down. I was like, no, yeah, mummies are real. The Egyptian times, mummification. But mummies aren't real, like they're not going to follow you around like a zombie. And she's like, okay. But at least skeletons aren't real, right? And it took me every fiber of my being not to be like, yes, they are. And you have one living inside of you right now. I let that one go. Like, she gets scared by that stuff, but she is a little, like, little kids are super creepy anyway. Because sometimes they don't say things in the right tone. She came and did a show with me last weekend, and it was overnight at this lodge. And on the drive up, she said, Daddy, sometimes when you go do shows, you come back home later that night. Are they kicking us out? I like sometimes at the end of my sentences, it sounds like I'm doing a Lou Gehrig speech. Today, I myself the love. But she came with me on the trip. And as we're driving there, she's like, sometimes you go to shows and you come back home later in the night. Is tonight one of those? And I looked at her and I was like, we spent all of this morning packing for you things that you needed for this trip and this overnight. You don't remember? I was like, yeah, we're spending the night and all that. And she's like, oh, I forgot. She's like, can I ask you another question? I was like, yes, you may proceed. And she's like, how many beds they give you? And I was like, I don't know. Where is she going with this? Like, are beds high currency in her brain? And I was like, sometimes if we're traveling, like if Kim and I are on the road, like we get a room provided, I say give us 2 queen beds, because Kim is a queen enough that needs a bed all to himself. Were you sleeping over there? Yeah, just on the fly. But I was trying to think, I was just like, but you know, they asked me if I needed a bed, and I said, yeah, since you were coming up here with me, I figured you just needed 1 bed. And she said, good, because if they didn't give us 2, I was going to sleep with you anyway. And I was like, oh, that's sweet, but also a weird threat. Best part was when we got inside the room, there were 2 beds, and it blew her mind. Like, we walked in, and she's like yammering about something, and she doesn't stop talking. And we come in, and she sees the beds, and she goes, oh, they gave you 2 beds! We only need 1! And I was like, yeah, that's called a staging bed. We put everything else over there. The thing that blew my mind the most about how smart she is, and you guys no idea, and funny, is during the election, we were walking down the street, and she stopped at a house up ahead. And when I saw what she had stopped for, it was because this house had a ton of election signs in it. And I'm not going to tell you who the candidate was, but she was looking at all of them, and this house also had flags of that candidate, a few few of them, one of which had the candidate praying next to a picture of Jesus in the same position. So House had a lot of election signs in the yard for flags, and Anna had stopped fixated, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And she goes, "These free?" And I'm just like, why is she asking this? Like, does she want to bring some of these home? Like, you can't have just plastic. Like, I was like, yeah, I think they're free. And she goes, okay. Even the flags? And I was like, no, I think those cost money. And she's like, how much? I'm like, do you want to buy a flag? And I was like, I don't know. Because I literally don't know how much those flags cost. I was like, I don't know, between $50 and $100. And she goes, huh. I think they should save that money and put it towards repairs to the house. And I was like, yes, they should. You were brilliant. Oh, she is my constant reminder at home that women are smarter than men. Like Danny said, I too am aging like a president. When you have kids, like you get into office and you're young and you're hopeful in the first year, and you have a full head of hair, you're idealistic and you're black and you're Obama. But then 4 years later, you are broken. You think the system doesn't work. You want to burn it all down. You're losing your hair. You're old. You're white. You're Biden. I have turned into Biden. I used to be young, black, and beautiful with a full head of hair. One of the times that I knew that women were smarter than men and that my daughter was an assassin was I came home when she was 3, and I had just come back from getting my hair cut. Like, I didn't go to the barber with like a Bob Marley hair and then come back like with, like a Bruce Willis, like no hair. Like, I just came back with slightly longer hair, came home, and my 3-year-old daughter at the time was just like, Daddy, your hair. And I was just like, oh my God, she's so smart. She's so observant. She observed. She knew I got a haircut. And I bent down. I was just like, yes, Anna, my hair. What about it? And she went, it's losing. I'm like, yes, it is losing. There is a battle, and my hair is retreating due to you. I know women are smarter than men. This is a weird example. My wife knows when to say certain words, even when they're spelled the same, but have 2 different pronunciations and meanings. Like Polish and polish. I'm never sure when I'm supposed to say one or the other. Like I could go to a barbecue and be like, hey, I really want a polished sausage. And there could be some guys there that become way more interested in me than I want them to be. Another example of why women are smarter than men, man caves. I'm from northern Kentucky. Do you all have man caves in Sellersburg? Come on, Planet Daddies. Who has a man cave? Yes. What's your favorite thing about your man cave?
It's mine.
Yes. I'll get to why women are smarter than men, but the men have the man cave. It's mine. It's my space. A lot of them in Kentucky, they're in basements. And guys will be just like, yeah, this is my man cave right here. This is how this voice sounded before I even heard you talk. And I'm from Kentucky. Like, yeah, man, that's my man cave. Yeah, I got myself the biggest TV up this wall here. Got myself neon sinuses beer. Got myself a neon fridge over here. It's a mini fridge, only holds 6 beers. I'm constantly running out of beers and having to run upstairs, so it's not really conducive to doing what I needed to do. Should get a bigger fridge, but it'll blow insert me if I put anything bigger down here, but this is my room. So there's that guy and all the friends down there in the basement, because no girls allowed. All the women and the wives are upstairs, and the one wife is just like, hey, do you know what I convinced Greg of? To organize all of his dumb shit and put it in one room of the house. That room is in the basement. And I know we have asbestos. He's gonna die way before I do. Greg gets one room while I control the rest of the house. Some men are like, I don't like that. I was proud of my man cave, or my shed, or my garage, or whatever, like tiny nook that we can get silence for just a brief minute. But it's actually scientifically proven that women are smarter than men. That is a scientific fact that you cannot ignore. The question is, when a man and a woman have been together for a while, and the woman passes, on average, how long do you think the man lives? What do you guys think? Someone said a year? 6 months? The answer is 3 months. That's the same amount of time that you could go without eating or drinking before you die. Guys, that means we are so stupid that when our ladies die, we go to the kitchen and they're just like, I don't remember how to eat or drink. Oh, I'm dead. I'm stupid. Now flip that. If a man and woman have been together for a really long time, and the guy dies, on average, how long do you think the woman lives? 20 years?
Forever.
487 years. You're close. They married their best friend, Kathy. They move in with each other. They adopt 20 cats. They name 10 of them Buttons. They wear Birkenstocks and sweatpants for the rest of their days, and they are happy. That's how I know women are smarter than men. But guys, like, sometimes guys will be like, I'm just as smart. I just have a lot that I'm thinking about. That's why you should be smarter. I juggle so much. Like, whenever you see a guy talk that way and the wife's just looking at him like, I've never seen you juggle shit. But guys will say that, we get more on our brains. Like, I don't think that's true either. Like, guys, how many times have you been laying in bed at night and you're getting ready to go to bed and your lady turns over and looks at you and goes, what are you thinking about? And guys, we are so dumb, because I'm one of you. I know what I'm thinking about is nothing. Maybe the theme song to Bonanza. Like, I cannot explain why. But it's like, if you could visualize it, it is a hamster on a wheel. I'm just sitting there slack-jawed, just hearing that. But what I know is that when my wife asks me, what are you thinking? If I tell her the truth, that's gonna start a fight. So I have to think of something when she's like, what are you thinking of? I'm like, oh, no. And then you freeze in time and you go, so much, but what are you thinking about? And she just says, oh, not much, good night. And she's still pissed at you. And you're like, what did I do? But really, in her brain, when you said, oh, so much, what about you? She was thinking, tomorrow morning I gotta pack the kids' lunches. Like I take all the kids to school, then I gotta go to the liquor store and pick up a bottle of wine for Kathy, who works at the front desk reception. Because the other week when I came in and Kathy was wearing a new skirt, she said, "Do you like my new scarf?" And I hesitated before I said yes. And then she told everybody in the office that I'm a bitch. So I want to get this bottle of wine to smooth things over with her. During my lunch break, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and I'm going to have to get all the groceries for the rest of the week. I got to make sure that I get things that little Frankie can eat, because he had chicken Alfredo before football practice the other night, and he shit his pants. Then I got to get home, I got to pick up all the kids, I got to make the dinner, I got to take the dog out, I got to go pick up the dry cleaning, got to bring that home, got to make sure dinner's on the table, and then we got to pack the kids' lunches, and we got to go to bed, and I got to sit here, and I got to go, "What are you thinking about?" And you're like, "So much!" But she says, "Nothing, good night," and you're over there. I will say, though, that some women are certifiably insane, and I will tell you the story of how I met my wife. I met her on OK Cupid, dating website. I know, so much internet material tonight. If enough of you rub your plaid shirts together, maybe. Don't do that, that will start a fire. It's not happening again. The best is whenever you see a dude wearing a plaid shirt and corduroy pants. You can't, those two, like if it's two people, if there's two dudes in corduroy pants and a plaid shirt, they can't even hug. Because they would just combust. I have a pretty good relationship with my daughter. We know that we upset one another because I think we have a lot in common, that we're a lot alike. I have been lucky to be able to take her to a lot of these daytime appointments where for her first, like she just had her first eye exam, and she took it like a trooper, but because she's in that question phase, she's made me open up my eyes to some things I've never thought about when it comes to eye exams that we just take for granted. Like, you know the machine that blows the air in your eye? Does anybody know what that does for the exam? Glaucoma, pressure? I've heard so many answers. Kim and I, before the holidays, did a holiday party for a group of eye doctors, and no one had the same answer. So here's what I think that machine's about. It's a giant mechanical machine that does and they're just like, yeah, we do this for our tests and just some things to look at. You get a better look at your peepers there. Just put your eye in there while we... Any piece of machinery in history has had an evolution. That means it didn't always used to be that big, expensive box that shot air.
How about you?
That means that there had to be a beta version of that.
Do you have any Corona?
Like, what did it used to be?
Do you have any Corona?
Did it used to
No.
be like in the 50s? Like the eye doctor pulled a straw out of a milkshake, licked it off. Just like, Mr. Johnson, just... Yeah, just some things we gotta look at, some tests we gotta do, stuff, and coming back, and it's about your eyes, and we wanna take care of your eyes. You like seeing, don't you? Stop questioning me, Mr. Johnson. Like, but when did it start? Because you know the first eye doctors, like, they're in the break room with all the other eye doctors, and they're just like, hey, I have this weird kick where I like blowing air in people's eyes. And I was able to talk a patient into thinking that it's something we do to check their eyes. $20 to the next doctor that tries it in their next appointment. So before the straw, like medieval times, did the doctor, like, was it a lottery situation like it used to be with like public executions, like with beheadings and stuff? Was there an executioner mass person that would come in that you're not supposed to know who the person is that is blowing into your eye? And the person does it, and it's like, and Mr. Johnson's just like, oh, Frank, I know it's you behind that mask. You're the onion salesman. But so when my daughter's like, what does that do? I'm like, and then it happened. She's like, I don't want to do that again. I'm like, I can justify why you should. But while we were there, the doctor asked me when's the last time I had an eye appointment, and I was like, oh, you know what? I don't know. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you might have a condition in your eyes, and it's an interesting way to say that you're noticing something about my eyes. And I said, well, what do you think it is? He's like, well, do you ever have any issues with your eyelids? Do you ever get infections? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I said, one time I was sleeping and I rolled over and my wife looked at me and was freaked out because apparently both my eyelids were flopped open while I was sleeping. And the doctor said, yeah, I think you have what we call floppy eyelid syndrome.
Hello, Rachel. Hello. Can I get another
Which
Coke
I
Light,
said,
please?
if you
Just
don't
one.
have a name for something, you're not allowed just to make one up on the spot. And he's like, no, he said, that's what it is. And I was like,
How much?
I've
Three.
lost
Okay.
140 pounds in the past couple of years.
Let me see.
Does it have anything to do with that? And he's like,
Three.
no, even sick.
Thank you.
Anybody can have
Yeah,
it.
you too. Maybe I'll have to come back and visit you more often. Do you work upstairs usually?
I do.
Every day?
And I said, okay, well,
Always
what do
Thursday lunches and
you do?
on
How do
weekends,
you
it's like every
fix
other
this?
weekend I'll be here.
And he said,
Okay.
there's two ways to do it.
It always works out to where
One,
my son and his father
you have to like glue your
Well, that's good.
eyelids
That's
down
good.
each night and wear
Alrighty.
a sleeping mask
Thank
so nothing
you.
gets in.
Pleasure, thank you.
And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I was like, what's the other option? He's like, well, it's a very simple surgery where we extend and we pull your eyelid out as far as it can go. And then we take scissors and we cut out the middle part and we re-sew your eyelid back onto your face. To which I said, fat as it is! Oh, it was, we've had a fun past couple of years. Like I said, our house is a circus. We, I don't know if anybody else does this. Does anybody else's family have a song that represents the family that you like think of? Adam's Family. Our family has one of those too. It's or it's if it's getting really off the chain, I go, that's the crazy train. That's what that is. I have been noticing though as a parent though, one thing that I didn't really put a lot of thought into before becoming a parent of 3 children. Like I tripled the amount of kids I had in one day. Like that's crazy. Amber alerts. Whenever I'm driving now, or if ever I'm sending an Amber alert, like I used to not look at it before, but now I have a 1 in 3 chance of winning the lottery. Like I don't want anything. I don't want anybody to kidnap any of my kids. Like it gets crazy in our house, and our catchphrase is, "Oh, that could have gone a whole lot worse." Like, but I'm not willing to have a kid get done kidnapped.
I went upstairs.
But the one thing I've noticed now that I've been looking at the Amber Alerts is it is never a nice car. Like it's always like on the lookout for a 2004 mostly purple Geo Metro with red door and Lincoln Continental hubcaps. Suspect is armed and dangerous. Like, that would be awful. Like, I mean, it's awful to have your kid kidnapped, obviously. But if like an Amber Alert came up and I was with my kids and it was like 2026 black Lexus, brand new car, automatic everything. And I'm like, this is a weird Amber Alert. Feels like it's trying to sell me a car. And then I found out that it was my kids. The only thing I'd be able to say would be, it could have gone a whole lot worse. You guys are not as excited about stealing kid jokes. Duly noted. Oh, how about mother-in-law? And then I gotta get going. You guys have been awesome. Give a big round of applause to the Legion Hall here, and the bar staff. And from what I heard, awesome lemon squares, if those were homemade. Fantastic lemon squares. They told me, they're like, you can eat and drink whatever you want. I was like, no. No, I lost 140 pounds over 3 years. I have told you to the guys that I'm not allowed to participate in any of that. But I lived with my mother-in-law for 7 months. My father-in-law passed away, and we reversed Florida her, where she lived in Florida for her whole life. And then we brought her up at her old age to Kentucky to see seasons, which is cruel to somebody who's been in Florida for so long. But we lived together, and my mother-in-law and I, we got along really, really well. It was her and my wife, mother and daughter, like they hadn't lived together so long, so they butted heads. Brenda only did 2 things that annoyed me, which I think is pretty good. First one was, she cannot eat spicy food. And I'm not talking like habanero or ghost pepper. I'm talking like tonight, if you guys had salt and pepper shakers on the table, pepper too spicy. Do you know what Brenda's favorite restaurant is? Chili's. Every time we go there, it's always the same. She gets her food, she starts pushing it around her plate with her fork. And I take the bait and I go, Brenda, what's wrong? And she goes, well, it's a little spicy. I'm like, huh, yeah. You mean the restaurant that's called Chili's, and if you can't read, they give you a picture behind it of a pepper. And like the other thing that annoys me to no end, and I know it's just my dumb guy thing, is she keeps on buying these decorative hand towels. Do you guys know what decorative hand towels are? They're the ones that hang on the ovens, guys, that you're not allowed to use. Like if you go to grab one of those for a spill, and your wife's in the kitchen, or any other woman, and they're like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm about to make a mistake, I guess. But you know, they're the ones, like they hang on the oven, and they have like pictures of cats on them, with their paws up in the air, with little word bubbles that say things like, my favorite day of the week is Thursday. They're the ones, guys, that if you spill anything and there is a woman with an eye shot, you grab one of those to wipe it up. All it is going to do is just push the water around the rest of your floor, turning your kitchen into a slip and slide death zone. I asked Brenda one time, why? Why do you keep on buying these for us when they don't even do their primary function, which is to absorb? Her response was, I know, but don't they look nice? We do Secret Santa in my family. Next year I'm going to trade to get Brenda, and I'm going to give her decorative toilet paper. She's going to be sitting in her tiny first floor bathroom all Christmas Day long, just wiping away with no results. I'm gonna hear her meek little voice at some point be like, "This isn't doing anything." And I'm gonna be outside the door like Jack Nicholson in The Shining and be like, "I know, but doesn't it look nice?" My wife and I, we openly fart in front of one another. We have a rule that if one of us has to fart in bed, we're supposed to turn away from the other one, lift up the blanket, and shoot it out. The thought behind this is that if you fart out under the covers, it will live longer than if you were to release it out into the ether that dissipates. Now, when we're not in bed, all rules are off. My wife puts a disgusted look on her face if I fart, and she goes, "Oh, you forced that out." And I say, "Oh, I did not. But I did nothing to keep it in." And like when she farts, and I'm not talking like a little mouse fart. I'm talking like a marching band that still has like 3 more blocks to go on their parade route. When she screeches one of these demons loose, she acts surprised by it. And she's like, "Oh!" "Oh, that just slipped out. That just slipped right out. Don't worry, mine don't smell." I'm like, liar, you're just like your mother. You love
To hide it because I stole it. Because I think they're gonna sell those little bouquets on each table for.
Thank you guys
Put in your purse.
again for coming out
I just bring a
tonight.
purse.
Tim's got his
Give me- I don't
t-shirt
care,
that he
purse.
said if he doesn't sell
Give me
these
2
3
lights
of them,
and
they're going to make him
try
clean the dishes
to make
here.
them happy. Ed might
If you
drink
want
a
to get something
7-7
that's
with
cool,
ginger.
I have 2 movies that I'm in. Cam is actually in both of them. One's called All Your Friends Are Dead. It's a horror comedy. And the other one, I'm reluctant to tell you the name because I just told you that Kim and I are in it. And the title makes it sound like it's a gay porn. It's not. It's called Sweetmeats.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard of Trauma Films, who did like Toxic and Ender and stuff, they're the main producers of Sweetmeats. Not about Kim and I. We're both in it, but
Shit, who complains
neither
about
of us
it?
are in it.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
But I
Never
also think
made that
Sweetmeats
complaint in my life.
is a weird thing to say. That's about as prevalent as me being like, I backed up my car and I got some 8 tracks in the trunk. The cool thing about them are roughly, the one was me at around 350 pounds. And my first album was a picture of me and my daughter when she was 6 months old called Spitting Image. Because people said my daughter and I looked so much alike. And I was like, to be honest, I do drool a lot. And the other one is called World's Greatest Dad, parentheses, participant. And it's a picture of us together on it. So every year, every time I do an album, I want her to be on the album in some way until she's like, no. And I was like, well, I've got 2 other kids. Let's see how much they love me. If you want to get something great, stop by, say hi. If you don't want to buy anything, that's cool too. Just know that when you see the picture of my daughter, that's the mouth you're not feeding. Completely just kidding. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out. I know Kim was saying about working in the corporate world. Comedians, like, we've had way more jobs than most regular people, but I found out there is a scientific average of the average amount of jobs that a person has in their lifetime is 10. And that blows my mind. Because like I said, the comedians, rock stars, whatever, yeah, they've worked a lot of different jobs. But how weird would it have been to have had Brian Johnson, the lead singer of AC/DC, as your server at a restaurant before he joined AC/DC? He'd come up to your table and be like, "Welcome to the restaurants! We got ice and bread and rolls! Yeah! Dave Matthews is bagging your groceries at Kroger's.
Would you like paper or plastic? I put the bread on top of the eggs. Take these groceries.
Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 is driving an Uber and he can't find out where his next ride is. And he has a old hand crank window and he lowers his window and he goes,
Where are you?
Elton John's reading to underprivileged kids at an orphanage. There's a little brown bunny. He's trying to help. I'm a good house found and pick. Country's out. Even weirder, like what if some of our favorite actors, like Eddie Murphy in the 80s, they had the #1 show, #1 movie. He's like, I want to do music. And he released one song called Party All the Time, written by Rick James. He never did another song after that. What if someone like Sean Connery had done that? Had just won the Oscar for The Untouchables. And they're like, Sean, what do you want to do next? And he's like, I want to record 80s pop hits. Great. What song? You can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. Because if your friends won't dance and if they don't dance, well, they ain't no friends of mine. Thank you. Sometimes people don't. Pity. Sometimes people after shows are like, Ricky, how do you figure out what voices you could do? And I tell them I used to do them for my wife, all up until one day when she said, and I quote, stop. It's 6 a.m. I don't care what it would have sounded like if Jack Black had been in Fleetwood Mac. To it just say, don't stop thinking about tomorrow, don't stop, yes indeed. Gonna be and my wife just points to our front door and I'm like, and the landslide brings me near.
Stop.
Thank you, someone needed to say it. Felt like I was hosting a telethon with Jerry's kids and I would just be here until we reached the money marker. I tried you guys to have an auction to do. Thank you for telling me to stop. See guys, I can listen. I'm not going to, I can listen. As you remember, I have twin boys, they're one. My daughter can sometimes, she's like, she calls it the dial, the volume. So sometimes she'll be like, Daddy. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But my boys, they don't know how to say no yet. So every night before they go to bed, I dramatically read to them one of their favorite nursery rhymes as one of my favorite actors. Like Sir Alan Rickman from Harry Potter and Die Hard.
I'm a little teapot, soaked in sweat. Here is my handle, here is my sweat.
Michael Caine. There was a boy who had to go, and Bingo was his name. Play all and Joe, play all and Joe. Norm MacDonald.
Hey, oh McDonald, yeah, fine. Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Animals, this is fine.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I was using the buses around and round.
Sylvester Stallone. John C. Reilly from Wreck-It Ralph and Step Brothers.
This muffin sounds tough with eating a crimson away. Then like along came a spider that sat down beside her, and she was all like, I'm gonna get out of here.
Seth Rogen. That's it.
Hey, twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. Up above the sky so high.
Hi. And finally, this is the weirdest one. All of the U.S. presidents in my lifetime, from 1985 to now, dramatically reading one potato, two potato. One potato, two potato,
That's not right.
three potato, four, five potato, six potato, seven potato more. Eight potato, nine potato.
Okay, like 10 potato. Okay, we got all the potatoes.
We got like huge, tremendous potatoes, okay? We're gonna make these spillage to the wall of french fries, okay? We're gonna make the little guys pay for themselves, okay? We're gonna be sure with all these potatoes.
I don't have a Biden impression because I don't believe in elder abuse. Now that is not to tell you my political affiliation. My political beliefs are, I think we should stop electing old white grandpas as president. If you're old enough to be in a home,
You don't need to do that.
maybe don't put them in the White House. Like, I get it if one of them ever gets lost and they're just wandering the streets of Washington, D.C., and a police officer picks them up or anybody picks them up, and it's just like, do you know where you live? And they're like, the White House. And they're like, that's right, Joe, let's get you back home. They have ice cream there. I know, Joe. They have ice cream other places too. I want them to take pictures of me eating ice cream. It feels good on my gums. I'm not going to end on a political joke. I really do appreciate everybody that came out to the show, because if you guys didn't come here tonight, this show would be so weird. But so I want to give you guys something. This is an impression that I think anybody here can do, as long as you practice it for 5 years. This is my impression of a penguin looking for its wallet.
Is he looking for a wallet or a